DC Vigilante here. So, just a thought, and I like to think of something and then see where it takes me, So, my thought for this video is, well, I heard on the radio today, there was a guy on the radio and he was saying, everybody's talking about either Games of Thrones or the Avengers, and he doesn't really get into either of these things. It's just not his cup of tea. So he goes on and saying that he looked up and he knows all the spoilers for the two things. So he's armed. He's out there in case somebody comes up and talks to him about it, whatever. And it made me think, what would it be like if I really didn't care? There was a time I went to the movies and we didn't, being a kid, we were just happy to go to see a movie. There was no interest in how much the money was earning. We just wanted to decide if it was good or bad. There was no critics, that I could tell. Occasionally we'd maybe see a couple of stars in the newspaper or something like that, but apart from that, it was basically a film, and if it had a title and it was age appropriate, you had the money, you would go and see it. And so, but now we live in a world where information is all around us, and we got more of a choice and we got more of opinion on these things now. We can look at how much a film is, and we're under the guise of, well, that film made a lot of money, so then it must be good, or it must be, this one's for the record books, but beforehand we never knew any of that. We would just go to see a film and the other one, and we wouldn't be bothered about the director or behind the news, behind the scenes. And I think we're at a time in our lives now. We're in a world where even the film studios and the directors and everything else, we're all sort of trying to catch up with this new way of doing with movies. The fact that the director is so well known, that they're so well known, like the actors are. Do you know that the directors have a fan base now? Now, I'm not saying directors like George Lucas or Steven Spielberg didn't have fan bases, like Zack Snyder does and whatnot. But, you had to be someone big for the names to be stuck in your memory. And again, but now it's like, if this film was directed by this person, then we would go and see it, like Salaman or something like that, Night Shyamalan. Like, his name is synonymous with these sort of thrillers and everything else, so you would say, but I like his style, I'll go and see it. Quentin Tarantino, I like what he does, I'll go and see that, and so on and so forth. So it's like the actors are there, but really you're looking at the directors now also, and you're looking at how they're putting the film together, and we're into how what sort of hassles has the director had. The director is now like what Zach did recently. He's taking these director cuts of that movie and he's going around to college and campus, people recording it on their phones, and they're seeing him, and all of a sudden whatever he says, people are jumping on it, and oh, he said that, oh, he said that guy, that his my Batman is, when he said my Batman doesn't kill and everything else, I was out of there, once you broke your virginity to this film, and I thought I was pretty cool, but that's now people jump on every word and hang on, and we get emotional involved with these films, whereas beforehand, you know, there's still a populace out there, right, that can just go and see a movie and not be sort of caring or whatnot. But it's suddenly turned into a film where any film can be made and it could be rubbish, and the screenplay can be rubbish, and everything else involved in that film could be like just manufactured to be like the previous film and make tons and tons of money. And I believe somebody said that whatever Avenger movie they make, it's going to make money. We don't care if it's good or bad, it's going to make money because it's a part of this story. Anyway, I'm drifting off the subject. And I remember Brie Larson saying something like, it's great for her to be a female leading the way of this franchise. And I'm thinking, no. What happened to Alien with Sigourney Weaver? You couldn't have an Alien movie without her. And you've got the director, then you got Kevin Feige saying something about the cast that he put together. Brie Larson, who knew about Captain Marvel, jumped for the chance, and then you've got Brie Larson basically saying she didn't know who the character was, or she didn't read any comics, And you think back, all this stuff wouldn't be news 20 years ago. It wouldn't. Directors and cast members now really have to watch what they say, watch how they act. In the 1950s or something, when you had premieres, it would be certain movies would have this big red carpet out, and only certain people would maybe travel the world for a premiere. But now it's like mandatory that every film, the actors and everything else, must go and see this film everywhere around the world and make a song and dance about it, and it's just, now we have Netflix, and I don't know if that has premieres on the TV, but I've seen Keanu Reeves in a film. We have The Silence, we have the TV series now. You've got Steven Spielberg coming out and saying he doesn't believe that films made by Netflix should be entitled for an Oscar, shouldn't be up for any awards. And I'm thinking, why? Is it just because to make a movie it has to be done in a financial sort of way? By a company where the director doesn't have much control over, or by having it on Netflix where a director has more control, and hence why somebody like Zack Snyder's went to Netflix doing a zombie, because of the control, and you'll see his artwork there rather than a studio telling him. Maybe Steven Spielberg, as I say, owns DreamWorks, and as I say, and he doesn't answer to anybody. Does that make him more worthy to get an Oscar rather than somebody that doesn't? So we live in a fascinating world, but there's a huge part of me, as I say, in my car just now. There's one wee shelf of my favourite movie. Top one, yeah, that's it. So, I don't know if you've seen that, it's just a wee Lego Batman and Superman and BBS keyring. So, as I say, and now, I grew up watching movies every weekend. I would go down and I'd be excited to go down to my Blockbuster store or whatever and pick free videos from the shelf. And, and buy the popcorn and juice out the store. and it was something to take home and play on your machine. But now everything's just there. Well, we don't go out as much. We stay in the house and we watch these movies and TV shows. And we get. And as you may have noticed in my previous video, we get upset when something like Games of Thrones shows you an episode which isn't as good as you were hoping, and you get flustered about that. It's just a fascinating time, but I would love for myself to be like that radio host, where he doesn't really care about the next instalment of a superhero movie and the next instalment of a James Bond franchise, which is a franchise. These franchises, they make money. It doesn't matter if it's good film or bad film, they will make money. That's why they continually make them. That's why Marvel won't end after Endgame, because they'll just suck the system dry until everybody's fed up with superheroes. And I sometimes feel that way myself. I'm fed up with superheroes. I'm fed up of feeling angst because we've not had the DC movies that were once promised. But going back again to that radio show, and for him not to be bothered about these TV shows and everything else, and I'm in my car, and these people may have seen this movie, but it's not altered your life in any way, but we get wrapped up on social media where the slightest comment that goes against what we like gets us riled up, because the movies have somehow become a part of us, and that we get we tend to think of it as our own sort of property, which it isn't. It's a film. But we become so protective over it, and we don't want bad words said about it. So you tend to think now you don't really talk about your own love and passion, because you don't want the other person saying, well, because I was talking about Games of Thrones and how disappointed, and I could see the guy's expression on his face, and it's not something I've normally seen him with when I was starting putting that episode down, and how disappointed I was, and I could see his face, and I'm thinking, this is just my opinion. But then again, when I talk about DC and I stand up against, the same storyline that Zack Snyder had planned and everything, I'm getting emotional. That must be the same sort of look I give people. So I just want to get to a state where I just look forward to a film and not care as much. And I mean, what's in future for DC? What's in future? Well, we've got the Joker coming out. We've got Wonder Woman. They've just announced a date for Aquaman 2. There's meant to be now. Jason Momoa has also said on some sort of Instagram that there's a big DC announcement coming out in May or something. So we're all thinking about that. And again, going back to what I said, there was a time where you wouldn't get an announcement from these Comic-Con areas. And you wouldn't be a build up towards a film like 2 years down the line, because you wouldn't know about it. And it's that sort of innocence that I miss. That sort of just going to a movie without all this pre-knowledge, without this sort of ownership that we have over this stuff. And I was saying to a colleague today, maybe it's just because when it comes to fans of comics and books, or and I was talking to him about Harry Potter, and what if this feminist movement. I know a girl who loves Harry Potter, and not once does she talk about, oh, Harry Potter needs to be a girl and everything else. She sees him as a hero, you know. But what if somebody comes along and then puts in the feminist touch to that and starts making it, you know, the opposite, you know, starts making Harry Potter, that was all a dream, and really the real hero is the girl. And I said, that is how angry would you be in that? So it is, so maybe it's just a fan base thing that the movie industry have still to catch on to, because they're too busy calling us trolls, because we have a view, we have a, you know, we have an opinion, because we are the ones that collect the merchandise. We are the ones that have been loving this stuff since we were young. And film companies do not know how to handle that sort of passion, that sort of fan base. That's why you have so many bad films like The Last of the Jedi, and the director Rian Johnson, and you know, not realising how strong the fan base is, how strong white men are, and everything else. Is just a strange world. Well, let us know in your thoughts and feelings about it, you know, about anything that I may have mentioned briefly today in the comments. As I say, it's and you know, I didn't even have a topic today to start off with. I don't even know what I'm going to call this video. But yeah, no, back to innocent more times when nothing needed to be a franchise, where we didn't need to have, you know, where we could just simply just go to the movies without feeling that we have to defend it and everything else. And movie studios really need to respect the people that pay money to go and see their movies, before they start calling everybody a troll because they don't share the studio's opinion. You know, it's just nuts. Now, that's my thought for the day. That's my truth. I hope you understood something that I was saying today, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for subscribing. If you want to share these videos, please do. If you're unsubscribing, that's your cause. I'm just doing this to let this out there. Thank you.